Hi, you must be our new talent acquisition manager from the regional office. Welcome to the Magellan headquarters. I've heard great things about your work, and I'm sure you'll fit right in with our team here. As you know, we had some unexpected turnover, so you will be busy. If I'm not mistaken, you have a couple of weeks to settle in and get to know how things work around here before the hiring frenzy starts. Between us, a quick heads up, Phil can be a bit of a handful sometimes. Give me a minute and I'll check if your office is ready for you. Don't run away, good looking. I'll be right back. Also, would you be so sweet and turn on the TV for me, hun? The remote is on my desk. Come on, please turn on the TV, or I have to do it myself.
We are Magellan, your trusted guide in navigating the world of social media. Our purpose is to make you look great. Do you need to increase brand awareness? We got you covered. Do you need to boost conversations? We got you covered. Or do you need to increase website traffic? Guess what? We got you covered. Together, we will improve your brand identity and create positive brand associations across all social media channels. With us, you can finally focus on your business again. Just let us do what we do best, make you look great. Our amazing social media marketers will create professional posts for you, and our remarkable influencers will spread the word about your company and its offerings. You can have thousands of followers on any and all social media platforms in a matter of weeks. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, Snapchat, and Pinterest. We got them all. Our specialized crisis management team can even make your worst PR nightmare disappear overnight, while highlighting the positive aspects of your brand. Don't waste time and lose valuable customers. Time is money. Call us now.
Hello again. Your office will be ready in 5 minutes, but I just realized that we don't have your onboarding questionnaire. While you wait, can you please fill out this brief form? Your office is ready. Come right this way.
Hi, my name is Jane, and I'm here to help you reflect on each scene in order to learn more about sexual harassment at work. Specifically, how to identify it and how to respond when faced with it. Under the Ontario Human Rights Code, sexual harassment is engaging in a course of vexatious comment or conduct that is known or ought to be known to be unwelcome. To make sure we're on the same page, a vexatious comment or behavior is one that is intended to distress or harass another person. While the definition of sexual harassment might change from jurisdiction to jurisdiction, the general understanding of it remains consistent. So while asking for sex in exchange for promotion is obviously sexual harassment, unwelcome hugs, sexual jokes or comments also fall within this category. With this in mind, do you think any of the behaviors displayed in the previous scene could be classified as sexual harassment? The conversation with the administrative assistant, Candice, was certainly interesting. Before she left the first time, she said, "Don't run away good looking. I will be right back. Also, would you be so sweet and turn on the TV for me, hun?" While some people might not think twice about it, others might not welcome their coworkers calling them by pet names such as hun or referring to their physical attributes, such as being good looking. Do you think that the administrative assistant knew or should have known that? Since this was the first encounter, she likely just wanted to be nice. However, if you're not comfortable being called hun or good looking at work, you should politely tell your coworker to make sure that he or she knows this. For example, you could say, Candice, while I appreciate your comment about my appearance, in a work setting, I would really like to have professional interactions. Also, I'm not comfortable with endearing terms such as hun in the workplace. You can just call me Jake or Jennifer. I hope you understand. Now, with respect to Magellan's ad, even though it heavily emphasized appearance, for example, make you look great, it did not include any comments, jokes, or pictures that could be considered sexual harassment. By the way, if you feel uncomfortable at any point during this VR simulation, you can simply exit it. When you restart the simulation, you can continue with the next scene or start over. Please note that these scenarios were developed to teach students about sexual harassment. If you have experienced sexual violence in the past or at risk of sexual violence, please contact the Provincial Crisis Line or go to the nearest sexual assault center or call the police. If you live outside of Ontario, please talk to someone you trust or find the local authorities via Google or other search engine.
Oh my God, did you see what Beth wore the other day? I cannot believe that she showed up to work looking like that. I would literally die if my boss saw me looking like that.
Absolutely. Her dresses are way too short. And, well, let's just say she likes to show off what she's got. Phil certainly doesn't seem to mind, though. I heard Beth got another raise last year. I wonder why. It wouldn't surprise me if something happened between them at the Christmas party.
Really? I never connected the dots. But yeah, Phil certainly doesn't mind. He once asked me whether I was raised in a monastery because I dress so conservatively.
You look great. Don't let him get under your skin. Otherwise, you'll end up like Sylvia.
Poor Sylvia. Didn't she leave us after just 1 month?
1 or 2. She did not enjoy Phil's jokes.
Jokes? He was harassing her at least once a day. I love jokes, but even I didn't think it was funny anymore. Oh, hi, you must be our new talent acquisition manager. I'm Renee, and this is Alexa. We were just talking about jokes. Do you want to hear one? You're a little grumpy. Let me tell you a joke. Why does the mermaid wear seashells? Because she outgrew her bee shells.
What an introduction to our company culture. You should tell that joke to Phil. He will love it.
Thank you, Renee and Alexa. That was very, Anyway, let's move on.
Hello again. How did you feel about this interaction? Do you think that spreading gossip about Beth can be considered sexual harassment? Yes, you are absolutely correct. Sexual harassment does not require that the act or comment in question happen before the victim. Spreading gossip that undermines a coworker's credibility and professionalism is considered sexual harassment. It is not just wrong, but it is also illegal in many locations, including Ontario. How did you feel about the joke? Was it appropriate or was it inappropriate for the workplace? Sexual jokes and innuendos at work are problematic, and you should always assume that they are unwelcome. For example, discussing a coworker's cup size would make most employees uncomfortable. Framing it in reference to a joke about a mermaid does not change that. Sexual jokes and innuendos are not only inappropriate, but they're likely to have negative consequences for the perpetrator. Regardless of the size of the workplace or the number of employees, many jurisdictions, including Ontario, require all employers to have a workplace violence and harassment policy in place that clearly outlines the consequences for unacceptable and illegal behaviors. There are many ways to respond to unwanted sexual jokes at work. In some instances, you could simply ask the perpetrator to explain the sexual joke by saying, "I don't get it. Could you please tell me why this is funny?" However, often, it is more fruitful to politely remind the perpetrator about the workplace violence and harassment policy. For example, you can ask the individual what the workplace violence and harassment policy says about inappropriate jokes. Once again, don't forget that if you feel uncomfortable, you can exit the simulation at any point in time. When you restart the simulation, you can continue with the next scene or start over. Would you like to continue? All right, enough about gossip and inappropriate jokes. Let's see what's next.
Hey, do you have a second? Come on in. I don't bite. Unless you want me to. I'm glad you could join us on such short notice. We had some very unexpected turnover. Some people are just not cut for this type of work. Anyway, we need to fill in a few positions in the next few months, and I want to get your opinion about our candidates. HR has actually had some concerns in the past about the candidates I've selected. Funny story, I'll tell you more another day. So I want you to look over our candidates and present your preferences to the hiring committee by the end of this month. Don't worry, it sounds like a lot of work, but I've already screened them for you, so this will be an easy task. Now, our mission is to make our clients look great. How can we do that if we don't look great, right? I'm willing to train the right person. I invest in my people when I see great potential, so don't worry too much about their qualifications. Also, a good organizational climate is very important to me. So when you interview them, I want to be in the room to make sure they have a good sense of humor, that they fit in with us. You look like a fun person. Do you know any jokes? That was not bad, but I'm sure you can do better. One more? Nice. I love it. You'll fit right in with us.
Hello again. Isn't Phil nice? He has already screened the candidates for you, and he invests in people with potential, and he's willing to train the right person. But there is one catch. Did you catch it? He said, how can we make our clients look great if we don't look great? Phil seems to have a beauty bias and only cares about how the new employees look. While several non-job related factors such as race, age, gender, ethnicity, and disability are protected by law, discrimination based on appearance is likely not. However, minority groups often don't fit established beauty norms, and consequently for many, hiring good-looking people often means not hiring minorities. Either way, not hiring the most qualified candidate will have negative consequences for the company. Organizations that have and seek a diverse workforce have access to a bigger talent pool, and there's growing evidence that diversity helps to attract and retain key employees. In addition, diverse groups obviously have more diverse ideas, which are linked to creativity and innovation. A diverse workforce also increases market outreach and consequently yields higher financial returns, as the products are more likely to appeal to a broader audience, including minority groups. Well, you gave in and told Phil a sexual joke. Based on what we know about Phil, he welcomes such jokes, so in this context, do you think that this can be considered sexual harassment? Either way, I think it's clear that this joke is not appropriate. When people engage in conduct that they know is wrong, they will usually rationalize their behavior to themselves. They try to tell themselves that in this specific situation, it is okay to act that way, even though it isn't. This is because we have a need to regard ourselves as good people. In this situation, you might think that Phil asked for a joke, he wanted to hear one, and he's a supervisor, so the fact that you shared a joke with him is really his fault. Thinking in this way, you can displace your responsibility onto him. In addition, your coworkers told the same sexual joke before, so jokes like that seem to be socially acceptable in this organization. Now, no matter how persuasive these justifications are, they do not make this conduct acceptable. They just help you feel better about your behavior. If you would like to learn more about such justifications, please look up Albert Bandura's work on moral disengagement. If the conversations or jokes made you feel uncomfortable, you can exit the simulation at any point in time. When you restart the simulation, you can continue with the next scene or start over. Would you like to continue?
Anyway, I see that you've already met Candace. She's a real sweetheart. Hey Candace, how about I'll buy you dinner and drinks tonight after work? Just the two of us. There's a great steakhouse nearby. I bet you'd love it. And we'll finally have some time to talk about your performance evaluation and a potential raise.
I've told you 1,000,000 times that I don't want to go out with you after work.
You need to loosen up too. I'm just trying to be nice.
We really need to go now.
Phil asked Candace, the administrative assistant, out for dinner, even though she told him repeatedly to stop. Also, he added, "We will finally have some time to talk about your performance evaluation and a potential raise." This statement clearly links a potential raise with going out for an unwanted dinner. This situation puts a lot of pressure on Candace, and it's known as quid pro quo, something for something. Phil hints that going out for dinner with him will result in Candace receiving a raise. Quid pro quo is certainly unethical and illegal in almost all places. It puts the victim in a tough position. Should the victim go out on an unwanted date with their supervisor to get the raise and avoid a negative repercussion? While we might think that it's easy to say absolutely not, based on their personal circumstances, including their financial position and the pressure to keep this job, the victim is placed in a very difficult situation that they should not be subjected to. It can be very difficult speaking up when experiencing or observing such severe sexual harassment at work. At the end of the day, you're risking a job that pays your bills. However, imagine if you don't speak up. Things will likely get worse. Consider the following 7 steps from a program called Giving Voice to Values before raising the issue. What is the decision or action that we believe is right? Don't sexually harass your employees. It sounds so easy when you say it out loud. But before we can tell our supervisor this, we should put ourselves in this person's shoes and ask, what are the main arguments that we're likely to encounter? It may sound sad, but your supervisor will likely not just say, great idea. They will come up with the arguments against it. For example, it's just fun and games. Don't you get it? I'm just joking. Or this is none of your business. In addition, they will also try to rationalize their actions. Remember, I briefly talked about justifying unethical conduct to yourself to help you feel better about yourself earlier. Nobody wants to be a sexual predator. So they might justify their conduct by saying that everybody in this organization does this, that their words are just not offensive or hurtful, or that the victim didn't say stop. Again, these justifications don't change the unethical nature of the conduct, but just helps the perpetrator feel good about themselves. By thinking ahead of how they can justify this conduct, we can come up with ways to address them, so they can understand that their conduct is not okay and has severe negative consequences. In addition, we should also think what is at stake for the key parties. In this case, we can think of all the negative consequences for the perpetrator and the company as a whole. Next, we should also think about what's at stake for us before coming up with some powerful and persuasive responses to the reasons and rationalizations we identified. We basically prepare ourselves for the argument to ensure that we don't get shut down. In our case, we could tell Phil that his conduct is not funny, that it's clearly sexual harassment. In fact, we could tell him that his dinner invitation is considered quid pro quo and puts Candace in a terrible position. Moreover, such behavior is illegal and can get him fired. Candace could even sue him personally as well as the organization for emotional and financial loss. If you'd like to learn more about this strategy, please look up Giving Voice to Values by Marianne Gentile. If the conversation made you feel uncomfortable, please take a break. When you restart the simulation, you can continue with the next scene or start over. Would you like to continue?
Yes, I know. We've had a few complaints about Phil.
A few complaints? When Sylvia left, we gave her a year's salary to not sue us.
Yes, I am well aware of this situation, but some of our biggest clients love Phil, and I'm not sure that they will stay with us if he leaves. And when he joined us, he didn't sign a non-compete clause, so he could leave, sign on with any of our competitors, and poach our clients. Then we would be done. Last year, his billable hours were through the roof. I think he brought in over $5 million in new revenue by himself. Yes, his sense of humor might be questionable, but he sure knows how to please our clients. We simply cannot afford to upset or lose him.
But We have to do something. If he continues to harass employees, we might get sued big time for not taking any action.
Okay, how about we ask him to take some sexual harassment training? Maybe a quick online thing? Or we bring someone in for an hour to talk to all employees. That way we don't single him out. He's our superstar. The money he brings in finances a lot of other things we do, so we need to make sure he's happy.
I think bringing someone in is a good idea. I'll look into it.
This conversation indicates that the CEO is ignoring the concerns expressed about Phil's behavior due to his star employee status. This is a red flag regarding the leadership and culture of Magellan. In this situation, by refusing to hold Phil accountable, Magellan allows a culture of sexual harassment that does not create a safe and healthy workplace for its employees. While this scenario might sound staged to some, two very prominent companies recently faced similar allegations. In 2019, Uber agreed to pay employees who were sexually harassed $4.4 million for allowing such an organizational culture. Similarly, in 2018, Google was in the spotlight for how poorly it handled sexual harassment claims and other grievances, which resulted in over 20,000 Google employees staging a walkout. If you ever find yourself within an organization that allows or encourages a culture of sexual harassment, we urge you to not give in and engage in sexual harassment yourself. Remember, just because everybody else is doing it does not mean that it's the right thing to do. Try to voice your concerns by following the Giving Voice to Values process outlined earlier in the simulation. If this does not work, you may want to consider other employment options or talk to a lawyer and collect as much evidence as possible and document everything: who, what, when, and where. Be specific in your documentation. This is the end of your first workday. You may take a break and start part 2 when you're ready, or you can move on. When you restart the simulation, you can continue with the next scene or start over.
It's been a few weeks now. I hope you found everything all right so far. You know, if you ever have any questions, I'm always here to help. Also, do you have a minute? I really need to vent for a second. As the talent acquisition manager, you probably reviewed all of our performance evaluations and know that I'm one of the best salespeople here. I mean, I've been working with Magellan for 5 years and work harder than anybody else. But when I talk to my clients with Phil in the room, he always interrupts me and makes funny comments about my clothes, how I look, or whatnot. He does not take me seriously. The other day, he even said I should go find myself a rich husband since I won't go far here. What can I do to stop him? You are not wrong, but still, I can't stand being around him. I just need to find a new job.
Hi there. The consequences of sexual harassment are severe, and even if employees seem to be okay and laugh things off around others, they may suffer in private. Alexa has had enough, and I'm sure others have had enough too. Let's talk about what happened to Alexa in the later scenario. If you think that interrupting employees during work meetings and commenting on their physical appearance while telling them that they won't get far is considered sexual harassment, you are correct. In a perfect world, you should review the company's workplace harassment policy. This policy, which is required in Ontario by the Occupational Health and Safety Act, and in many other jurisdictions too, provides details on the company's reporting process. Put your complaint in writing and keep notes of any meetings you have. OHSA requires an investigation into all sexual harassment complaints, and the results of this investigation must be disclosed to all involved parties. If substantiated, the employer can require the perpetrator to apologize, put a note in the perpetrator's file, suspend the individual with or without pay, or fire the perpetrator. However, in this specific situation, this option does not seem to be productive given that the CEO is aware of Phil's conduct and has decided to not take any stringent action to stop him. Instead, a better option would be for you to file an application and make a complaint to the Human Rights Tribunal of Ontario, which handles human rights complaints under the Ontario Human Rights Code. Other jurisdictions tend to have the same reporting structure, but please consult with a lawyer to make sure. Talking to a lawyer is especially advisable if you want to sue the perpetrator and/or the organization for any financial or emotional losses. While in this case the organization failed to stop sexual harassment even though it was aware of it, the legal issues surrounding sexual harassment lawsuits are very complicated. Would you like to take a break? When you restart the simulation, you can continue with the next scene or start over.
Hi. How are things going so far? I know that the first few weeks can be stressful, so I hope you're finding everything okay so far. As I said before, I've already screened the candidates, and have done some supplementary research to make sure we find one that fits our organizational culture well. I really think that candidate E has the most potential. Just look at her Instagram pictures. Candidate D doesn't look too bad either. What do you think? Anyway, just pick one of the two and we're good to go. Don't worry too much about their qualifications. As I said, I'll take them under my wing and train them personally. I think I mentioned it before that HR needs you to make the decision, so don't tell them about our conversations. I know you'll do what's best for our company and pick E, or D if you must. Let me know if you have any questions. Now, I can count on you? Awesome. Anyway, I'll see you in a few minutes at the hiring committee meeting. Be prepared to present your recommendation to the hiring committee.
Welcome to Magellan. Hope you had a great experience so far. We really appreciate you starting so quickly. You'll likely work quite a bit with a new hire, so we wanted to include you in the hiring process as much as possible. We want to make sure you're happy with your new coworker. So, can you please tell us how you rank the candidates? Can you tell us how you determine your first choice? The criteria?
So the audio is recorded so I can justify my decision.
I fully support this.
Hold on. Why is there a link to the applicant's Instagram account? Did the applicant's photographs influence your decision? Explain this to us a little more.
I did not see that at all. I have no idea how that got there.
We've had issues like this before. That's why we wanted your unbiased opinion. Did Phil have anything to do with this? Okay, I think this is enough for now.
Hi, this is Savannah from HR. I'm calling to see how your first few weeks at our headquarters are going. Please contact me if there's anything that I can help you with. It's very important to us that our employees work in a professional and positive environment, so I would like to hear about your experience thus far. Did Candace, the administrative assistant, greet you in a welcoming and professional manner? Great. Thank you for your feedback. How are your interactions with your coworkers? I see. How about the CEO? I want to briefly talk about Phil.
Phil was not a nice person.
Great, those are all the questions I have. Is there anything else you would like to share with me? Thank you so much for your time. I hope you have a great time at Magellan, and please call me if you have any questions or concerns. Bye for now.